I just did a Bible study on the astonishing ending to the Gospel according to Mark. The women go to the tomb to anoint Jesus' body, and his body isn't there. And a young man says that Jesus is risen and that they need to go back to Galilee. And when they do so, they will meet Jesus once again. The women are so shocked, terrified by this news, Jesus is risen, that they do nothing. And this is where we are today. We've had so much death around us, thousands dying every day in our nation due to the coronavirus. We have millions losing jobs every week. There's so much loss. And we go to Jesus on Sunday to anoint his body. We go to church, and there we hear news that he is risen and that new life is before us. But I think that, like the women, we just don't know if that's possible, what that means, what that will look like. The angel comes to us today and says, go back to Galilee. Go back to the beginning. Go back to where you met Jesus for the first time. Gather with your families and go back to the beginning of the gospel. That's where Mark is probably sending us, scholars think. He's sending us back to the beginning of his gospel, where the women and the disciples first met Jesus, and that's what Mark and the angel are wanting us to do. They're wanting us to return to those places where we first trusted in Jesus and met him. And as we do so, in the midst of all this grief and loss, we will meet him again, and we will see him with fresh eyes, and life will blossom before us. That's what happened for the women and the disciples, and that is what's before us. That's what we need to believe. That's what we need to do. And even if you're feeling paralyzed and frozen, well, so were the women. God understands. But take some steps. Open up the Bible. Gather with your kids. Say a prayer together. Trust that God is in charge and that things are terrible right now, but wonderful, wonderful things are ahead for you and for our nation and for our world. Let us know if there's anything we can do. New life is ahead. God's going to take. God is the one who's shaking all this up. There was an earthquake, and that's what rolled the stone away. And God is going to roll some stones away in our lives. He's going to break down some stumbling blocks and some stumbling to put stones on the paths of righteousness, which he's calling us to walk. So trust that and continue to trod that path of righteousness. We love you, and let us know what we can do to help.